Bebop. Welcome to Artist Bebop number 44, the weekly ramble where I take a timer, set it for 22 minutes, and ramble my heart off. All right, here it goes. No time like the present. This week, a lot of reflection, I guess. A lot of, I don't know, it was a roller coaster on many fronts. But, so lately I've been talking about how rapidly things are changing in the world, really. AI, marketing, social media, a lot of the, at least for me, the way I do commerce for art, it's affected. And so, thinking about that, you know, things have worked for me. Lately, haven't been working. So what I've been doing on the marketing front is thinking of what I can do differently. And that's exciting, actually. And I think a younger me would have dreaded this situation. But I'm really trying to think through it. And I felt a lot of illumination this week on that front. I'm getting systems in place as far as integrating AI stuff and learning more about it so that I can market. But it's interesting that such, I guess, a broad, expansive thing to think about. But today specifically, this one guy talked about how, you know, what happens when I can say to the AI, write this book about this, and it writes it, and then it puts it out there. And there's a ton of other ones too. And I guess that's what I've been getting at. Because I think it's funny, the times I do have my A thoughts responded to, it's a human can never be replaced type thing. But that's, I think what he tapped into is, I think what I'm talking about. You know, what does happen? How do you, because if something like that, I think it will take place, then what's the meaning of what you do creatively? And that's the trick, is to retain and maintain and figure out that meaning. I don't know, I'm thinking of that movie Inception where they have the totem and they go into world after world, but if they have that totem, they can find their way back. And it's weird to think about that and then think about all these things I'm thinking about. Probably I've been delving too much into the AI stuff, but I think it's important. And I will not cease. But I'm enjoying it tremendously too. It's just fascinating what we're living through, what's coming. Fascinating specifically as a creative. So, but yeah, that, I don't know. I also just reflecting on this past year, and the good parts for me as far as art sales were that I saw these bigger projects, and one in particular was a large-scale painting about a little over 4 feet. And the guy hit me up. God, I don't remember when, but I always get this with commissions. A person will say, take your time, and then they'll check in on it and take as much time as you need, but I'm going to poke at you every 2 days. It's cool, I get it. But this guy, I showed him a thing, was getting it done, and he said, no. He's like, you take as much time. He's like, I don't care if it takes years. I was still skeptical, but then time kept going. I would show him progress, and he's like, yeah, just. And it's the most I've ever. I spent a year with that piece. As far as a commission, now there's pieces that I have worked on for probably years, and then there's some I finish in 5 minutes. Just depends where your head's at, I guess. But in this case, like when I was done with it and shipping it, I told him it was weird. It was like it was like I was sending a friend off, and I loved that. I loved that I got to have that, and so thankful. And yeah, so he's talking about an even larger scale one now, and I'm salivating to dig into that. And I've got these ideas without even knowing, if it's going to happen or what it's going to be about. But yeah, I was just thinking, I want more clients like that. And not just, money is such a funny thing. And because I lived my life as a single artist man till I was 37. I'm not somebody that wants things. I create things. I like to make things. I like to put them out into the world. That's what makes me happy. Way more than material things. But living that existence, I didn't need much. Now, throw fatherhood into it. And, again, it's not that you need it, but there are things that I want so that I can mainly give experiences to my kids. And so I've been reflecting on that whole idea of change. I changed my marketing because really situations change. But that extends to everything that I am. And so I was thinking about this other thing I was listening to where they were talking about abundance of wealth. And this one guy, for years just struggled to get there, and he felt like he was ready for it. But he says the two guys speaking were of a consensus that there's a point where they had to be ready for it, or they were ready for it. That if it would have come earlier, they weren't ready for it. And I guess as I'm reflecting on everything, adjustments I'm having to make, what I want, the goals become clearer, which is cool. Because, like, as I said, 37 years, I didn't need much. I didn't want much. I just wanted to make stuff. And I wanted to kick butt. And that's what I did. And I still kick butt, but but then there's that other part of it where, so that what they were saying, I remember hearing that conversation. It didn't quite click, but as I've been reflecting this week, I'm like, you know what? And I thought, like, if abundance happens to listen to me ramble here, if abundance is tuning in, dude, I'm ready. But yeah. So yeah, I'm summoning it, I guess. I guess I want a rich life for those little ones. And that's a good thing. I listened to Dave Grohl's his book. I listened to Dave Grohl's book on Spotify. And so he talks about being younger, which was a great book. So you think it'll be like a bio thing about Foo Fighters and Nirvana, and there is biographical stuff, but what I liked about it was it was about gratitude. It was about him being thankful and him expressing the gifts that life had given him, or has given him, and I don't know, that was cool. And it was more than I thought I was going to get from the book, which is awesome. And it was kind of him encouraging his audience to be grateful and to go for what they want. But he had this cool passage where he talks about being younger, and he makes kind of an altar to John Bonham, and has this, he called it a seance, and he asked for the success that he wanted. And he's like, I think it worked. And so it affected me on many levels hearing that, because I guess I've never asked, I've never wanted. I had what I wanted. What else was there? Not that I've never worried about money, but I just I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird crossroads. But that's what makes life beautiful. And I am gracious. So I had technical difficulties here, and the mic dropped because I didn't charge it. I've been flustered all day trying to work on multi projects. So I guess I just lost track. I wasn't as prepared. But yeah, so I'm just going to ramble in another direction. I did hear I was talking about Dave Grohl's book. Yeah, it was surprising. And yeah, it made me think about a lot. But yeah, this past week, I think, I started working watercolor. And it's funny because I'll get sucked into something like that. I had this big studio, and for about a month and a half, I did nothing but work on 4x6 black and white portraits. And it was weird. It's like something had snapped. And it's not always that severe. But yeah, this week pretty much I worked watercolor. That would go into tidy up projects. Into the mess room, I call it, where all the acrylic and wet and sticky paints live. And so, yeah, I'd taken a break because I also got sucked into live watercolor painting on TikTok because it's smaller and it's easier for me to, I guess, try to interact with the audience is what I'm wanting. But yeah, today was the first day I went back in there and hit the acrylics, and it felt good. I miss it was because I was working watercolor all week. It's like, God, do I even like acrylic anymore? And yeah, I do. I like the mess. I got this Clemente I'm working on that I think I finished him actually. That's why I'm up so late. That's how it happens, man. You're one minute you're painting Roberto Clemente, and then it's next week. It's the nature of the paint studio. Yeah. I did a Cousin Oliver portrait from the Brady Bunch last week. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but just the idea of that character. The way I got into that was somebody was talking about in shows and sitcoms when they needed a change in direction because the show maybe wasn't working. They would introduce this character, enter Cousin Oliver. And then I thought about all the characters like that, like Raven Simone in The Cosby Show. In Different Strokes, they had, I guess Arnold was getting bigger, and so they brought in Sam. But Cousin Oliver was surreal to me. Like I have trouble believing he was real. And so I did that portrait, and I found audio of Cousin Oliver. I found some clips, and then I found him, Robbie Rist, the actor, and I guess he'd done a commercial for the Brady Bunch in syndication. It was on, I don't know if it was Nickelodeon, but it was just funny. And his little blurb was about people said that he ruined the show, and that hurts his feelings as a human. I love that. But I disagree. I think, when I really look at it, like, he's amazing. It's my favorite part of the show. Him and Sam the Butcher. I did a portrait of Sam the Butcher, and he looked like a killer. It was good. I was very proud of it. I think I did that. Auxiliary characters are my jam. I think that's known. You know what's funny? So, shout out Chiha Cardworks on Twitter. So he writes me, and he said, I've had this painting of yours on my profile, and I've seen it. Very flattered. I've seen it, and I just noticed that it's Hank Aaron. I forget what year card that is, but he says, I just noticed that it says Milwaukee Brewers in the text, and I like to scatter my text. And he said, is that on purpose, or was that a mistake? And it made me so happy. I said, you're the only person that caught that. And what can I say? I like to make myself laugh. It was a very kind of satisfying moment. Yeah. That made me think of this other guy who said, I like what you do, but they bought a few pieces. But I call them dancing letters. He's like, but the letters where you float them around, I don't think the painting needs that. And I'm always listening and processing. And I thought about that. The painting needing it. And the thing with art and an artist, at least for me, the way I create, it's not about what the painting needs. It's about what I need as a creator. And often I need a laugh. It has served me well in life. Laughter. Through good, through bad, through mediocre, through boring, through everything. Being able to laugh. And anytime, any opportunity where I feel that I'm going to let it fly. And yeah, so I guess that was it. Maybe the painting didn't need it, but I needed it. All right, I think I went over post-ramble. Anyways, thanks. I got lost in that last part. Thanks for listening. Thank you for writing. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, have a good weekend. I will see you next time.
Welcome to my world, El Santo's world. Bebop.